Advaitacharya, Kolavachar Sridhar. Huh? Wherever he turned around, he had Preeti Lakshana with so many devotees like that. So, Haridas Thakur, daily, he used to come to Siddha Bakul, spend time with him, with Sanatana Goswami. So, if Mahaprabhu can have such Preeti with so many, we should at least develop it in our life to some degree. Huh? Okay, have you been envious, critical or unkind towards another devotee? This is a reflection we all can do, and in case we did, we have to rectify it. Huh? What is one thing I will do this week to improve my relationships with devotees? We can think about it. One easy thing I feel is, yesterday I told one Mataji, I asked a question, put your photo in the middle of the circle and draw one circle, then second circle, then third circle. So these circles are called as trust radius, we call it. Huh? So in the inside circle you are there, and who are the devotees who are with you, or they like to be with you. Huh? And those devotees' names you can write in the innermost circle. Huh? And then the second circle are devotees who are ready to become your good friends, but you don't have time for them. Huh? They are very fond of you, they are ready to give you time, and they are looking towards you, but many times we may not give time. Like for example, Radheshyam Prabhu sometimes used to write mails to me and invite me to Govardhan Eco Village. A couple of days I would go and spend there. So this time he put me on a, podcast or something, podcast, recently. He said, Prabhuji, otherwise you are very busy. Put you on a podcast now. You have to answer all the questions now. So 2 days thoroughly engaged me. Huh? So one podcast with brahmacharis and one podcast for outside. So almost 2 hours we did. So he likes to ask questions, and also he engaged me for a 2-day workshop on how Bhagavatam should be your lifelong partner. Not just you heard the Bhagavatam class in the morning like that. So we made them into 6 groups. We did activities. So in this way, these are all ways and means by which we can increase the exchanges between devotees. Otherwise, without exchange between devotees, we have to depend on our own strength to study and understand and assimilate. By discussion, Krishna manifests in the discussion. Suddenly you find Krishna pops out of the discussion between devotees. The understanding becomes deeper and more endearing. Like I asked my spiritual master a question that why Lord Vishnu told Garuda to go away in the Samudramanthan Leela. We here all are great devotees. Vasuki is also a great devotee, and Garuda is also a great devotee, but Lord Vishnu told Garuda, you go away. Maharaj, it's a little confusing for me. He said, what is the confusion? He just wanted to give Vasuki a breathing space. He said, because Vasuki has to do the service of now, kada 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 kudu 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 kudu, that Samudra Manthan Leela. Can he allow himself be used while Garuda is sitting next to him? So therefore my Lord told Garuda to go away, he said. So we can always ask questions and learn. So how can I better serve my fellow devotees selflessly? Because in selfless service, Preeti arises. Prabhupada cooked for the hippies, served the hippies, washed the plates and everything. So if we also do some selfless service, this is the secret of increasing Preeti. And lastly, write a note of appreciation to your devotee you haven't expressed gratitude to recently. Before you write this, what you have to do is to think which devotees did what service to me, and which I assumed that it is a duty to do service to me, which is a wrong thing to think. What we should think, if somebody does something to us, we should always think they have done me a favor. When we do something to somebody, we should think, I have done it's my duty to serve them. When somebody else does something for me, I should think it is a. But once I receive a favor, I have to be grateful. Yeah. If you are not grateful, you are a great fool, it is said. You have to be grateful. Correct now? So, that's all. This is a personal reflection. Then this is another theme, which we will do it another time. September, yeah. And actually, this Guhyamakrit Prichati is such a topic that whatever we discussed till now is like a foundation for this. This can be understood more better after we understand the Preeti Lakshanam. Preeti is now clear. With that, we can enter into this in future, okay? Radheshyam Prabhu ki. So, sorry all of you devotees, and here also devotees, I'm supposed to end at 8:30. I have exceeded the time. I'm sorry. So we have good news. Amarendra Prabhu is here with us. So I would request Amarendra Prabhu to answer some questions the devotees can ask. You can show the camera there. Yeah. This you give to Amarendra Prabhu. So Amarendra Prabhu is here. Sundaranand Prabhu. He is going to answer some questions.
You can take out the Prabhu.
Yes, all of you can ask questions. Yeah.
Prabhuji, we wanted to be in your association.
They didn't mind the tiredness and everything. They have shifted a house from Atlanta to
North Carolina.
Well, we also feel like they moved to Richmond.
One more exit.
He just wants to let Mataji Prabhu know that they moved to Richmond. We truly wants to say that in our hearts found no bound of joy. Amarendra Prabhu is so very close and dear to all our hearts, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
He comes regularly.
He has occupied the heart of everybody.
Gives so much love and guidance.
I heard you come twice a year now, Amarendra Prabhu.
Now even more.
Once a month.
How far is North Carolina from here?
Yeah, just 2.5 hours.
That's all.
Yes.
Next time I'll go from Richmond to there. I'm going to visit his house.
We'll all come.
Yeah, who want to ask the first question? There are many hands up.
Prabhu, go ahead. Prabhuji, in last 2 days we learned about this Priti Lakshanam, and the theme was to come close to each other. And when we come close to each other through attending aartis together, doing service together, and all of that. So sometimes this thought that, familiarity breeds contempt.
Yes.
So a lot of, devotees feel like that sometimes it's very important.
Everybody looks in one direction. Come, yeah. Go there. This is perfect. Then only we can see. You can sit here. No, come. This is the yoga one. Come. Yes. They have a question for you. I will add always.
I don't even know what was discussed, bro.
Now you will answer and I'll add, okay? That's what you can ask now.
So sometimes this familiarity breeds contempt. Consciousness or thought is always very pervading in devotees. And we also hear that devotees are like fire. So if we go too close, then we have to be very careful. So what is that fine line? Because we want to develop that Priti Lakshanam by serving together, being in Aarti together, or doing Katha together. But at the same time, there is little fear that too much familiarity, and especially in serving together, there's that thing. So where is that fine line, and how should we take it, Prabhuji?
Careful.
I don't know how to put this. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharani Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshatarani Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, I am a crawling infant in the mighty presence of His Grace Radheshyam Prabhu. I am like a little rabbit at His lotus feet. I have come here only to hear from Him and purify my heart. We understand Sadhu Sangha is so rare in this world, and especially when a sadhu who has dedicated his life for over 3 decades in Srila Prabhupada's mission comes from India, comes here to America, it is golden opportunity. So I just want to hear from Prabhuji, but it is Prabhuji's order that I sit here and try to speak a few words. So Prabhuji in one class was saying that humility means when to know to stand up and when to know when to sit. So if we get a local train and there are Bhagavatams and Bhagavad Gitas in our bag and we think I should sit, that's a wrong place to show humility. We should stand and speak. And in the presence of great Vaishnavas, if we think we have to stand and speak, that's wrong application of humility. We should sit down and listen. But when senior Vaishnavas say you sit down and speak, then humility must be practiced or attempted to be practiced by speaking a few words. So please forgive me if I Kachin vichinvan napi divyaratnam swamin kritarthosmi varam nayache. I will try to share some broken pieces of glass and then Prabhuji will share a diamond. So in dealing with Vaishnavas, in Vaishnav Tattva, whether it is Srimad Bhagavatam in the words of Narada Muni, or whether it is Sri Upadeshamrita in the words of Rup Goswami Pad, or whether it is in the words of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami's Chaitanya Charitamrit, it is very important first of all to note whether we are dealing with an equal, whether we are dealing with a junior or we are subordinate or we are dealing with a superior. That is the first step. Because Sushrushaya bhajana vidyam ananyamanya nindadi shunyaridam ipsita sangalabdhya. Sri Rup Goswami Pad has spoken in Upadeshamrit. And same in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrit, Jahara Komala Shraddha Sri Kanishtha Jan. That has been described. And Shraddhavan Jan hai bhakti adhikari Kanishtha Madhyama Uttama Shraddha Anusari. Shastra Yukti Sunipurn Drida Shraddhavan Sayi Madhyama Adhikari Mahabhagyavan. So that has been mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrit. And in Bhagavatam also, Ishware tad adhineshu balisheshu dvishatsucha prema maitri krupopeksha ya karoti samadhyama. In the 11th canto, 5th chapter, that has been mentioned. Text 45, 11 to 45, 46, 47. So first step is to identify whom we are dealing with. Second step would be to understand what is their comfort zone and what is their radius of working. For example, if we are working very closely with a superior, we must understand what is their comfort of work. Let's say they are available once a week on a Zoom call. That is what they give as their availability, and now we expect to go closer and closer and say, okay, can I have once in 3 days? Can I have a Zoom call once in 2 days? Prabhu, can I call you on Zoom? Can I have a text message? Now we are overstepping. That is like Ravana trying to enter the Lakshman Rekha to protect the Sita of the sanctity of the relationship. On the other hand, if the superior says, you send me a sadhana report every day. Now if we are sending him once in 15 days, now we are getting cold. Everything is about the right balance. When we are very close to the sun, we get burnt. And when we are very far away from the sun, we get frozen in that cold. So that, first of all, identifying whom we are dealing with. Second, identifying what is their radius of comfort. Now let's say in the most common case, we are dealing with equals in service. Or devotees who may be superiors but very kindly have agreed to be equals to in the accessibility radius. Then in that case, when we serve, we have to understand two things. Just because they are available and they are easily accessible doesn't mean we diminish their greatness in our heart. We have to constantly, just like when we come at the shore of an ocean and we see the waves and the tides, automatically two things come to the heart. How great is the ocean and how insignificant are we? So when we deal with Vaishnavas, I think understanding their Aishwarya is very important before we enter into their Madhurya. Therefore, Sri Baladev Vidyabhushan, of course, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur wrote Madhurya Kadambini, but his disciple Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan wrote an Aishwarya Kadambini. Before understanding Krishna's sweetness, we go through his opulence. Before we enter the 10th canto, we go through 9 cantos. And then after the 10th canto also, we read the 11th canto. So there is a cushion, there's the middle part of Madhurya with Aishwarya on both ends, to show that, let's say if we are dealing with a Vaishnav and the Vaishnav puts his hand around our shoulder and he's our superior, doesn't mean we also put our hand around his shoulder. He's being kind, but we should be grateful. Just like we always see Ram's hand goes around Hanuman, but Hanuman's hand doesn't go around Ram. He always folds his palms. So to understand the greatness of a Vaishnav, to think when did the Vaishnav join, how sincere has the Vaishnav been, how consistent has the Vaishnav been, what kind of services has he offered to Srila Prabhupada, and knowing his greatness in his service, then we understand, okay, just because we are sitting together doesn't mean, just because the mosquito is sitting on Srila Prabhupada's hand doesn't mean he's a Jagat Guru. So to understand the glory of the Vaishnava, I think, and to remind ourselves of that. Ati parichayad avajna, malaye bhilla purandri chandana tarukashtam indanam chakurute. To understand how rare bhakti is in this world. This verse in the Subhashita mentions that a tribal woman on the top of the Malayan mountains, just because she's covered by sandalwood trees around, she will cut sandalwood and make a bonfire so that she can feel some heat in the middle of winter. Sandalwood can give much more. Now if you ask Veerappan, he will give you the actual he will give you the actual value of one sandalwood, right, Chandan? If you ask a Vaishnav, he will give a totally different perspective of glory of Chandan, right? Melpattur Narayana Bhattadri in his Narayanyam, he says, Ganga Gita cha Gayatrapi cha Tulasika Gopika Chandanam tat Shaligrahama Bhipuja Parapurusha Tathai Kadashi Nama Varna. 8 things in Kali Yuga give liberation quickly. Ganga, Gita, Gayatri. Ganga Gita cha Gayatrapi cha Tulasika, Tulasi, Gopika Chandanam tat Shaligrama Bhipuja, and Parapurusha Tatha Ekadashi and Nama Varna, holy name. So Vaishnav is seeing Chandan from Parodharma perspective. Veerappan is seeing from, I don't know dharma, but from Artha and Paramartha. But the tribal woman is not seeing neither Artha or Paramartha. She is only seeing temporary benefit. Temporary of the temporary. Right? So Vaishnavas are, just because we are surrounded by sandalwood trees around, doesn't mean that we can manipulate and maneuver it for temporary gains. Sandalwood is so rare in Brahma's creation, right? And human beings are even more rare. And in that, to have someone who's saintly is even more rare. And Muktanam api siddhanam narayana parayana. Sudurlabha prashantatma kotishvapi mahamune. Or whether we say bahunam janmanamante. One Mahatma. Here we have one Mahatma. Right? But it's very rare to find a Vaishnava. And we can read Roop Shiksha. Mahaprabhu categorically gives how rare it is to find a Vaishnava. So when we deal with Vaishnavas, we must understand that it's a very, very rare thing to find a Vaishnava. Tulayama lavena api na swargam na punarbhavam. Very, very rare. Therefore, akshno phalam twadrisha darshanam hi. The bhajan for the eyes is to see Vaishnavas, and the bhajan for the tongue is to glorify them. And we manipulating and taking them for granted is like being on the banks of the Ganga and dying out of thirst. So we should never do that. So these were some broken pieces of glass that, please forgive me, Prabhu, and now we will hear the actual answer.
So Amarendra Prabhu was especially talking about, Amarendra Prabhu was talking about associating with devotees and drawing from the association. I would say some practical things here. Those who are senior people like yourself, here. You are playing a very special role. You and your good wife. You are leading a community here and gradually growing it. So for you, it would be very valuable to have some friendship with people in a similar position like you, who are in other places, leading communities. Say, for example, Satyasar Prabhu is in Austin. There's Ram Vijay Prabhu is also in Austin. Similarly, there are also in East Coast, many are there. We have, Neelamada Prabhu in Baltimore, like we have Sundaranand Prabhu and many other devotees here. Similarly, in Boston, Brooklyn, these places, areas, East Coast, which are easy for you to commute, travel, and now you have authorized center here, correct, no? ISKCON center. So you may go for meetings also, I believe, right?
Yes.
The meetings, when you go, you get to meet also many other people. Yeah, isn't it? So with different people, you can have different kind of exchanges. With some leaders who are leading ISKCON temples, they will share their heart with you, what challenges they faced and how did they solve it. And that can be very helpful on a practical level for you. Because every community builder, from a small to big size community, will go through many challenges. And in case they are very sincere devotees, you identify them as good souls. Therefore, picking and choosing association is very important. So he gave two criteria. One is their Shraddha level, how much they have deep-rooted faith in the spiritual practices. They are not empty people. They are not just holding some position for the sake of getting privileges. But those who are rooted in faith, that Shraddha Anusari. And another verse he quoted was about Ishwareta Dadineshu. That verse says, there are some devotees you should make connections with, and there are some others you have to keep away from. And depending on, whose association produces what. Good association will be uplifting, and bad association will be discouraging. So you have to identify. So identify those. Bhaktivedanta Thakur says that why we keep away from certain people. Because if we go close to them, quarrel starts. Some misunderstanding, quarrel starts. And our heart becomes hard. And it is unfavorable to them and us both. But by keeping distance from them and praying for them, by praying for them, our heart becomes soft. And that prayer also benefits them also. Both ways. With some people like that. So, therefore, identifying the right association is the most important thing. It need not be very big number of devotees. It can be handful, single digit also. So identify, there are 3-4 type of associations you need. One, I told you, in your type of people. Why? Similarly, Mataji, for example, your wife now. She meets wives of community builders in any other places. She will get a lot of ideas also. She can keep in touch. Recently in Pune, we have started one GPTC, we call it. Girls Preacher Training Course. So there is one Yugalapriya Mataji and Anangamani Mataji. These two are the senior most people amongst the girls. Now these two are like almost 20 years, more than 22 years or so in Krishna consciousness. So I requested them to put up this girls course, and I told all over India anybody can join. Now about 150 mentors have joined. These are all girls preachers. So now these people are undergoing a 20-session course. Then after this course is over, many of them will find it very helpful for guiding their own girls in their custody. Correct, no? So I have designed a syllabus. Of course, the elaboration of syllabus they can do better than me because they are ladies, women. So now all these girls girls preachers from India, they have become closely knitted now. They know each other very well. Now they are talking on phone, on Zoom. My goal is to see that the preachers are inspired and they associate with each other. And because we will be here today and then eventually we will be gone. But then this movement has to go on. So the very nice, rich relationships between devotees will take the movement to another level. So people of similar, like for example, those who study Bhagavatam, like he studies Bhagavatam and explains Bhagavatam. So such devotees also associate with those who do similar service. And amongst them also, some will be plus, some will be minus. Like Romaharshana Sutta was minus. Isn't it? Devanand Pandit was minus, isn't it? And Sutta Goswami was plus. So you have to see whom to associate with. That's the first thing we should determine. Who are doing similar type of service. and identify them, and then take out some time and spend some time with them, meet them, discuss with them. In case we cannot go personally, we can online also meet them. And that kind of association will be very helpful. An example I'll tell you. In Pune, when the new temple started, I said that there should be prasad distribution daily. So we started drone prasad distribution. And a lot of dogs started coming in the campus because people would eat prasad and throw the cups. So dogs were roaming and howling in the night, and it was difficult for us to sleep. So I immediately just gave a call to Radheshyam Prabhu, Tirupati temple president. Prabhuji, we are giving prasad every day, we are facing this challenge, what to do? So he immediately asked only one question: where are you distributing the prasad? I said, just below the temple hall below. That's the wrong place, he said. You should distribute it outside the campus where people put the shoes. Where they should take the shoes, wash their hands, take a cup and push off. Same day we moved it and all the dogs were gone. Just one consultation with a devotee can solve so much problem. Otherwise you have to break our head, split our head to find out. So like-minded devotees should get to associate with each other, newer level devotees. Otherwise what will happen, if you make friendship with only very young devotees, then you will be more in a giving mode, which we are already doing in our own communities also. We are giving so much, giving. We also should be able to get also something. So therefore, people like community builders are very good association for senior people. And many times you can borrow certain things from them, like children preaching materials, girls preaching materials, youth preaching materials. We can get, and we can also share with what we have been doing with them. It's like share and learn. Yeah, both we can do. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We can save so much energy, time. Somebody is already doing last so many years, and the materials are also there, their experience is also there. We can accept it, and that's where we have to put aside our false ego in opening our hearts to learning. Actually, this Steve Jobs wrote a famous book, "Stay Hungry, Stay Foolish." This is the same thing he's saying there. He says very smart leaders always feel that they don't know enough. They will always be learning. So more they are in a learning mode, then they have scope to grow also. And they will never feel shy to copy some good model that's going on. Because they know very well that ultimately all models are Krishna's models only. They come from Krishna only, Mama Tejamsa Sambhavam. So, but some people are very much fearful that if I take any model from somewhere, people will say that you borrowed. That will make me feel weak. So that is due to inferiority complex, they feel that. So in this way, we can associate with people of similar services. That's one suggestion. Similarly, the other ladies and other men who are in a community, within a community, for them it's very important to associate with each other. For example, the Prabhujis, they should have a kind of Bhagavatam study circle. Where if you take Bhagavatam, for example, for the men, and similarly your wife takes Bhagavatam study for the Matajis. You will see, I did this way back 25 years ago. I took the cream congregation devotees in my custody. Initially I started with the couples together. We did for many years. After the couples became mature, then I told Matajis to take for Matajis, because many of the Matajis can ask questions freely to Matajis, which they may not ask in an assembly. Similarly, if you do men and women together, men will not ask any question because wife will be sitting. They will give chup chap, full class. But if men take for men, Matajis take for Matajis. That's very powerful.
Will come out.
So then I started doing like that also. Both the programs we do. Some for all the husband wives together, some programs for the men we do like that. So in this way, when we do this kind of program, now 25 years later I am watching now, all those fellows who attended Bhagavatam are very stable devotees. They used to come every week, just sit for a couple of hours. Bhagavatam has all the nectar, It has preaching, managing, counseling, everything is there in Bhagavatam. So then it makes the community. Now what happened? They all have become counselors, each has 50, 60 people under them. And I am also traveling worldwide. Now recently, 1 year ago, they wrote a mail to me and said, "Oh, what is this? You are going and speaking everywhere, but you are not speaking in Pune nowadays." Then they made one group now of 25 couples now. Monthly once I made them for 2 hours. I go to one house of a devotee, Atmanagarampu, and I do the program there. So now I am so happy to see them all together. So for people in your community, it's very important for them to be together, because tomorrow in the service produces sparks. Sparks will come, especially in crisis. I told you this, you never told me that, they will say. Sparks will come. But if they are reading Bhagavatam together, they will understand. Suddenly we heard that we should be respectful to devotees. Then they will say, Prabhuji, why did you do this? The tone will change. The way they ask, correct? Instead of, Haribol, come here. Now they will say, Haribol Prabhu, why did you do like this, Prabhuji? What is it? Like that they will talk. The tone will completely change, you will see that. So, therefore, within a community, devotees need to be close to each other, and those who are community leaders should also have this type of association with others. And one important quote he gave, Anya Ninda Adi Shunyam Hridamipsita Sangalabdya. So we need to hear and associate from those who are very, very advanced in spiritual life, very absorbed in Krishna consciousness, and they don't have the propensity to criticize others. So those type of pure-hearted Vaishnavas, their Sangha, if it is not physically available, then one should hear. Because that hearing, Shravanam, can be very impactful. Yesterday also we were talking about that. It's very impactful. So whichever Shravanam has an absorbing nature in your mind, like blotting paper absorbs ink, sponge absorbs water. Like that, if your mind is able to hear some sound vibration, which is very absorbing to you, meaning of absorbing means even when you are going, coming, walking, it very much absorbs your consciousness. You think about it, what you heard, you liked it. So like prasadam we eat. You all eat prasadam to fill up your belly, or you want it to be tasty? Honestly tell me. You want prasadam to be tasty or just fill up the belly? Correct, no? It has to be tasty. Prabhupada says anything devotees can compromise, but not prasad. He says, Prabhupada is telling in one temple, if prasadam is good, devotees will agree to, tolerate any other problem. Accommodation problem they can tolerate. Limited space. Prasadam, it has to be tasty. Similarly, prasadam we eat with the mouth. Similarly, Shravanam we do with. So this is also prasad for the soul. So the soul has to relish what he hears. Not just, my reading quota is over. It's not like, I have read 4 hours this week, Prabhupada. No, that's not enough. We have to relish and hear. Those who relish and hear, then they can absorb. The absorption happens when we are relishing. So 2 doors have to be opened. One door is ear door, and one is heart door. Now, when we hear with the ears, and heart door means we are not insubmissive. We are submissive to open the heart and learn. And that kind of open heart learning, with sink in the heart and will absorb. When that absorption, so we have to find out which associations in the, of devotees creates that absorbing effect in Krishna consciousness, correct, no? Then that type of absorbing, that means what will happen is even little time also it will have a greater absorption. On the other hand, if it is not tasty, sometimes you have experienced, say, one item like khichdi or something they made, there was no salt. And they locked the kitchen and went away. Now you have to eat without salt. Even if you ate 2 full plates also, you will not be satisfied. On the other hand, a tasty prasad, even if you got little only, most of the tasty prasad only limited is given, correct? Like gulab jamun, little only, still it is very satisfying. You always remember that. So, in this way, the association, we should be choosy, and we don't want to hurt us or hurt others also by bad association, because it's like electric current. You get a shock when you associate with some people, because they are very blasphemous, or they are not proper Vaishnavas. Like yesterday we were reading that verse, no? Abhisandha yohim sam dambam matsari me bhava samram vibhinna drigbhavam sabhakti tamasamuchate. So, there Prabhupada writes in the purport. We can be a little alert, careful, cautious, and keeping away. If we find we don't have any criticism for them, we should only think that for me it is not good. Because one man's food can be another man's poison. For me, his association is not good. Maybe others can benefit from him. See, every person has a good side and bad side. Somehow in this life, I came across the bad side of that person. Therefore, I got it. Just like, for example, some portion of the wire is little exposed. You touch that, you will get a shock like this. Other places you touch, no shock. So other people are coming in contact with his good side, they praise him. What I came in contact with,
Live wire.
Live wire. I got a shock. Better keep away. Better keep away. And later on, after we advance and become very mature, if that person also becomes mature, it's not that he is going to remain the same. Then again there is a possibility of reconnecting. I have done it with some people. We used to have tussle in the early days. Now when we look back, we laugh at it. Because both were neophyte. And there was a spark of fire. Then now he also became more exalted. And I also spent many years. Now we again reconnect. We can be happy. Therefore, when you are in a growing phase of life, choosing the right association and accepting, absorbing association and benefiting from it, benefiting others, it should be like that. Is it clear?
Yes.
Another question, the one hand up. Prabhu, come here. This is awesome. No. Whatever you speak, after that I will add that. Yeah. That's one thing. Yeah.
Prasadam is ready, right? Prasad.
Pronounced to both of you. In my own silly way, it feels like there is a version of Gauranga Mahaprabhu and the best combination.
She has very deep questions. Yesterday she asked Abda Mandaja.
Yeah, so I have two questions, Prabhuji. One is very basic. What is the definition of criticism? And how do we recognize criticism?
Oh, you know very well.
So to tag on to that, enviousness also. Like when we elaborate on that.
So in Sanskrit, envy, the word is matsaryam. And matsaryam is like matsya, like a fish. So in English, when we say there's something fishy around, it's actually matsaryam. Because the fish mentality is such that the big fish sees the small fish and thinks this small fish will become a big fish one day, and by then I will become old. And before he eats me, let me eat him. So that's a matsya matsaryam mentality. This is one thing in Narottam Das Thakur's works, which Srila Prabhupada quotes in the purport, Kama Krishna Sevarpane, Krodha Bhakta Dveshi Jane, Lobhe Sadhu Sange Hari Katha. Shri Narottam Das Thakur Mahashay in Shri Prem Bhakti Chandrika, he gives a wonderful way by which every anartha can be dovetailed. He says Kama Krishna Sevarpane and Krodha Bhakta Dveshi Jane. As far as lust is concerned, there is a certain approach. For anger, there is a certain approach. Krodha Bhakta Dveshi Jane. Those who criticize Vaishnavas, that's the only time we can become angry. And Prabhupada gives the example of Hanuman burning Lanka with his tail, or Arjuna fighting the battle. Both employed and wonderfully dovetailed their anger in Krishna's service. And Lobhe Sadhu Sange Hari Katha. Hearing Prabhu in this association is the best greed possible. Or Vichayani Vicharyani Vichintyani Punah Punaha Kripanasya Dhananiva Twan Namani Bhavantu Me. Oh Krishna, just like a miserly person, is constantly thinking how I can make more money. And once he makes that money, he counts that money. And then he thinks how he can multiply that money and protect that money. Similarly, Twan Namani Bhavantu Me, having greed for chanting the holy name. So, Narottam Das Thakur Mahashay writes a way by which all the anarthas can be dovetailed except Matsaryam. He doesn't talk anything about it. He talks about lust and anger and envy, everything. He talks about lust and anger and greed, but he doesn't talk of anything about envy. We find even in the pastimes of Hanuman jumping over the ocean, the sea monstress who represented envy, Hanuman just cut her open because she cannot be employed in Ram's service. So Pratikulyasya Varjanam, Sripada Indra Prabhu said, that which takes me away from Krishna and which cannot be dovetailed in Krishna's service, I kick it without a second thought. And he said, that which takes me to Krishna, I embrace it without a second thought. So similarly, envy is competitive mentality. Turning away from Krishna, envious of God, causes envy towards others. As Prabhupada writes, the desire to enjoy, the desire to be the proprietor, the desire to be the controller, the center of everything. Just this morning I was hearing one class of Srila Prabhupada while we were driving, and Srila Prabhupada was speaking about clouds, and he explained how the consciousness gets clouded, right? And then Prabhupada defined clouded consciousness means forget the darkness of forgetfulness of our master. And he said the desire to lord over material nature as the enjoyer is the cloud in the heart, which blocks the sun of Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada explained. So beautiful. So it is that envy, desiring to be in control all the time, desiring to enjoy all facilities, all opulences. Let's say we do something and somebody gets the credit. So in short, what do we want? We want that credit to come to us, which means we want all the heads to turn to us, which means we want to be the center. And that could be in a room, then it could be in a city, then it could be in a country, then it could be in the whole cosmic creation. Like Hiranyakashipu had the same mentality, Ravana had the same mentality. So this is envy towards living beings. And this is himsa. So now regarding criticism, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has mentioned that, of course, everyone has faults, right? Therefore, in Chaitanya Charita, before we get to Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Kaviraj Goswami in Chaitanya Charitamrita, he says, Vaishnaver gunagrahi na dekhaye dosh, kaya mana vakya kare Vaishnava santosh. And in Chaitanya Bhagavat, Sri Vrindavan Das Thakur says, kahare na kare ninda, Krishna Krishna bole, ajaya Chaitanya shayi jini beka hole. That don't criticize anyone and continuously chant, then the Ajita becomes Jita. Mahaprabhu becomes conquered. My Guru Maharaj, just yesterday we were hearing a class, Srila Radha Govinda Maharaj, and he was speaking beautifully in this regard with the context of the 5th chapter of the 10th canto. Nandastu Atmaja Utpanne Jat Ahlada Mahamana. Krishna has just appeared, and Shukdev Goswami calls Nanda Baba as Mahamana. And my Guru Maharaj said that Nanda Maharaj is Mahamana because his heart is free from the tendency to criticize others. And he gave the example of a vacuum cleaner. My Guru Maharaj said, when you move a vacuum cleaner, it doesn't accept the color of the rug. If you see the design of a carpet, it may be very artistic. The vacuum cleaner doesn't. And my Guru Maharaj spent a couple of minutes explaining how a vacuum cleaner, with all his breath, he only catches garbage. And my Guru Maharaj in Hindi said, "Phaltu ka kaam karta hai ye vacuum." And when he said it, so funny. "Phaltu ka kaam karta hai na dekhe hai na hum log." And he said, it's life. So much so that it gets discharged doing it. Then again gets charged up only to do this again. So we are eating and taking rest, recharging, only to again discharge with all our lung capacity to only collect the dust around. So my Guru Maharaj said we shouldn't be like a vacuum cleaner. So this is, now coming to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's statement. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has mentioned about this. So Bhaktya Loka is a wonderful book. Chaitanya Shikshamritam is a wonderful book. In one chapter in Jaiva Dharma, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur deals with this, where he says everyone has flaws because Rajas and Tamas creates variety of patterns in the consciousness. Everyone will have some defect or the other, having some scars in this world. But we have to be like Paramahamsas. We have to be like milk drinking white swans. Even if the mixture of milk and water is given, only milk should be Saragrahi Vaishnav. Sometimes there are some aspects in a personality which needs to be corrected. So when His Holiness Jayadvaita Maharaj was speaking for ISKCON Atlanta, we asked this question. Maharaj, sometimes we have to tell somebody something is wrong. So what are the criteria? And Maharaj said so beautifully. He said, first of all, you have to analyze how old is that person. If the person is older, then do not. Then he said, second, okay, let's say the person is younger, but he came to Krishna consciousness before us and was initiated before us and is practicing longer, then don't. Then he said, third, let's say they are younger and were initiated after, have started practicing after, but their leader is someone else and they will not listen to you, then don't. Fourth, if let's say you are the leader and they are younger in age and practicing and it is our duty and they have made that mistake, now the question should be, if we tell them, when should we tell them? what should we tell them, how should we tell them. Our Radheshyam Prabhu, I've heard Prabhu in Prabhu's classes, so wonderfully says that it should be, when we give a feedback, it should be a feedback sandwich. It should be positive, negative and positive. We should appreciate what they are doing, very quickly give an improvement feedback, not in the sense that you're doing wrong, but how you, even that negative in the positive way, how you can